Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Market Wrap for Monday, the 20th of July. Look, today was an unenthusiastic start to the week. So by the end of the session, we were almost completely flat. And you can see there that the market was down by just 0.06% at 8,791 points. This is something that we saw happen quite a bit last week. 3 of the 5 sessions we ended almost completely flat as well. So over the course of the week, there was a small drop of just 0.1%. It seems investors are kind of just sticking to the sidelines at the moment with everything going on and those tensions ramping up between the US and Iran. So just sticking to the sidelines to see how that all plays out. And of course, also ahead of quite a busy week this week. So it is sort of the calm before the storm, with markets fairly quiet before they get a little bit busier later on in the week. Now, looking across the different sectors, it was quite a mixed bag. We saw 5 of the 11 sectors improving, led by a near 2% jump in the energy sector after oil prices jumped to a 5-week high of $90 US a barrel amid escalating hostilities between the US and Iran. But on the other end, tech was the absolute worst performer of the day, down around 1.5%, tracking declines on Wall Street. And the major banks were mixed, leaving the financial sector almost flat overall today. Looking at some of the winners, financial services company AMP was the top performer over the course of last week on the back of better than expected profit results, and it was up more than 20% over the course of last week, and then extended gains in today's session, lifting by roughly 3.5%. South32 exceeded 2026 production guidance across its key operations, leading its shares 4.5% higher today. Deep Yellow actually did second best after being awarded 2 major construction contracts worth around $34 million for its flagship Tumas uranium project in Namibia. Now, this is ahead of its final investment decision expected in the December quarter. And finally, Coast Entertainment, one of the smaller stocks in our market, rose after the Dreamworld owner got the green light from the Queensland government to go ahead with a 55-hectare development next to Dreamworld. Now, this is part of a master plan that could include new tourism attractions, hotels, retail, entertainment, and residential development. So that news drove its share price around 15% higher in today's session. Now, on the other side of things, PEX Group was the worst performer of the day, falling by nearly 5%. Alcoa slid for a 4th straight session amid weaker aluminium prices, lower production guidance, and also its results from late last week, which missed analyst expectations. Gold miners were mixed, with the gold subsector ending relatively flat today after falling by almost 8% last week. Now, gold prices are still hovering roughly around the 4,000 US an ounce mark. They actually briefly dipped below 4,000 and was getting very close to a 9-month low, but managed to pick up a little bit. So currently trading near June lows. Of course, there's kind of 2 sides of the story here. We've recently seen softer than expected US economic data, which has reduced the odds of a US Federal Reserve rate hike. But then on the other hand, we do have escalating hostilities, which are driving oil prices higher and stoking inflation fears, which could lead to higher rates. But generally, we have seen gold prices quite a lot weaker since the start of this year. And look, finally, WiseTech and Xero were a couple of the weights in the tech space. As I mentioned, the tech sector was the worst performer today. Now, over to currencies, which are a little bit firmer. The Aussie dollar is buying 69.9 US cents, a bit firmer against the euro and the Japanese yen as well. Now, as I mentioned at the outset, it's been a fairly quiet start to the week, but things will start to ramp up. Thursday is going to be an exceptionally busy day. We do have earnings from the two of the Magnificent Seven that'll be out on Thursday morning. That's from Tesla and Alphabet, which is Google's parent. So all eyes are going to be on those results. That's, of course, after the US market shuts. Also on Thursday, we have Aussie jobs data being released. And then Thursday night, we have Europe making their interest rate decision, where they're likely to leave interest interest rates on hold. But throughout the week, we get more company results from the United States. Of course, quarterly results. We have Aussie quarterlies being released here as well throughout the week. And those are things that could potentially move markets. Of course, developments in the Middle East could move share prices around as well, oil prices. So we'll see what develops out of all of that. That's a wrap for today, and I'll see you again tomorrow.